Are in the dressing room,
you know,
at West Side, where we can't touch the floor
because we're children.
We are backstage of The Odd Couple. Last night was opening night. Tonight is their second night, and they have 6 more performances after this weekend for February. And we decided that while Preston's cleaning, we're going to talk to you guys about true crime and serial killers. That's a fun subject.
I know. Well, not a lot of people, I don't know, I don't talk to people normally about it because
we've been friends for a long time.
A while.
And just this past week discovered that we both have a fascination with this subject because it's just not something that comes up in
normal day
conversation during break.
Well, and the thing is that even Chris was like,
that's weird.
Yeah, you're weird. And
morbid.
And are you trying to figure out a way to kill me? And I'm like, no.
So you don't want to announce in public forum that you're really into this because people are gonna go, ooh.
Especially I watch a lot of true crime stuff, and I mean, but
you were raised on
murder mystery, Murder, She Wrote, Unsolved Mysteries, Law and Order. Law and Order was my
to this day. Law and Order is the thing that is your go-to.
Yeah, I really
on in the background.
Yeah, when I want and then I have all CSI episodes up until Grissom leaves.
The thing that's always on in the background at my house, if I just want something on in the background, Unsolved Mysteries.
Right.
So there you go.
There you go. Yeah. Which they're revamping.
Yeah, I'm excited. On Netflix. I don't know who they're going to get to host this time. And probably because it's going to be on Netflix, I bet there's going to be a whole different level of production quality.
More than likely. Well, and the thing is a documentary was Abducted in Plain Sight.
Which is on Netflix, and you can also find it on YouTube. But it's of particular interest to anyone who lives in Pocatello. But whether you live in Pocatello or not, if you're interested in true crime at all, watch this story. It really is true to that stranger than fiction saying.
There's a book out, Stolen Innocence, is that what it's called?
I don't remember what the title of the book is.
Something Innocence. I remember that the Innocence.
But Jan Broberg and her mother
actually wrote it together.
And that's kind of what this documentary is based on. It's based on the abduction of Jan Broberg from here in Pocatello, not once but 2 times. First in 1974 when she was 12, and the second time 2 years later when she was 14 by a friend, a neighbor,
a family friend,
fellow member of their church.
Yep.
And it's just mind-boggling.
It's crazy. You have to really watch it to really understand why it's crazy and what exactly is crazy about it. But when you get into it and you watch it and everything like that, you sit there and you start just contemplating the whole entire thing. And
everybody's kind of talking about it locally on Facebook in groups like, you're from Pocatello when and that kind of thing. Because like I said, it is of particular interest to those of us who grew up here because we know what it was like here in the 70s when...
if you were born if you lived here during the 70s.
Small, mostly LDS community where people trusted each other and they didn't lock their doors. And
my dad for the longest time would just leave his keys even up every day. He'd leave his keys in his truck. He'd just leave his keys there. And I'm like, one of these days somebody's gonna steal your truck. And I almost wanted to do it just to teach him a lesson and take his truck one day without him knowing it, just so that way he'd understand that it's not safe to just leave your keys. But that's the way he was. They left their door unlocked.
I mean, technically, I was a latchkey kid, but
Same
I didn't
here.
know what that term was until I heard it on TV, because my parents didn't lock the door when they went to work. I would come home and it would just be open.
Well, see, I had my key around my neck with
which is what a latchkey kid
yeah,
is.
and then if I locked myself out, I'd go through a window because we always had one window open so that my cat could go in and out, and so that's just it's just what I did, and that's
I grew up in Marsh Valley, I should, say. So it was a smaller community.
even
so
smaller than Pocatello.
We didn't even have crime. Okay, we probably had crime, but it wasn't like the big city of Pocatello crime.
Yeah, there's a big difference. Well, and that's, we're going to talk about a lot of different things that have happened in Pocatello in different things, but we really, like, if you think about it, crime where it hasn't been solved is very actually low in Pocatello, where, like, they have not found the murderer and stuff like that. It's
but
actually,
if you want to get away with murder, you should do it in Pocatello because they can't solve them.
it's not as, we don't have as,
we don't have a special victims unit here in Pocatello.
yeah,
is
we
what
don't
we're
have,
trying to
yeah.
say.
So, I mean, this particular story, though, I think the thing that really kind of is, in the documentary, they talk about, they didn't think about kids being victimized by adults.
When she was abducted, that was even before the string of disappearances started. And that is one thing, if you're not from Pocatello, we have a really high rate of disappearances of young girls from the late 70s to the mid 80s. And Ted Bundy was responsible for at least one of those.
He admitted to it.
Yeah. So that is unusual for Pocatello, but this started before that.
Yeah.
And before that, there was no Facebook, there was no national media. In fact, when they were, searching for Ted Bundy, there was no way to
actually,
tie hit, because they didn't put pictures on driver's licenses back then, so they couldn't just release his photo to all 50 states when he was on the run, that kind of thing. So, you didn't hear about kidnappings, so the parents weren't fearful about letting their kids go play with whoever and stay out all, I left my house in the morning in the summer, and I didn't come home till after dark, and nobody ever thought a thing about it.
It was never an issue. Well, and
you come home when the porch light turns on.
Yep. Well, and the thing is like, when you're in a community and you have friends and you have family, you just kind of, like, the kids they go out, especially farming communities. Your kids are always with a bunch of different people. The neighbors, the family.
Which is probably the main reason why this happened. Your neighbors weren't just your neighbors. They were extended family members. And I think that's really what the relationship between the Broberts and the Birchtolds was like. They were so intertwined, their two families, that it wasn't just, these are our neighbors.
Well, and even they said in the documentary, every single one of them had a friend of the other family. So, like, all of them had
their best friend in the other family.
And the thing is that when you get somebody who's intelligent and manipulative, and they know how to manipulate someone, and then you get a group of people who kind of are just friendly and naive.
As much as I hate to say disparaging things about the Broberts because they seem like really nice people, that was the thing that just kept
coming up.
Yeah, that kept me from being able to wrap my mind around the whole thing, was that they were so naive, and I hate to use this word, but stupid. And they even admitted in the documentary that they have a hard time looking back and seeing how stupid and naive they were about all the things that they let happen. But you made a really good point about how manipulative he was.
And that's the thing is like, he centered on the mom and the father. Like, that was what his only barrier was against Jan.
And they didn't really give us a timeline, but I feel like he targeted the dad first.
Targeting the dad first, and then going after the mom. And the thing is like, this is, how many men are out there who manipulate women into doing certain things because they feel threatened, they feel special, they feel like it will get them somewhere, or they'll be able to gain. That's how come this whole Me Too movement's going on, is because people sit there and they go, I felt like if I didn't give this man what he wanted, I wasn't going to be the next star, or I wasn't going to get that next promotion. And that's how, and then
you made a good point about how, the other side of it, instead of like the fear and that kind of motivation, there was when a guy makes you feel special.
Yeah,
And I think that's what was really
in this
going on.
situation. I really do think that they felt special, like they felt important.
He made both of them, well, and especially mom, feel beautiful and wanted. And that was, she admitted in the documentary, that was exciting for her. And that's probably the first excitement, really, that she had ever had.
In a while.
Yeah, and I don't even know, she didn't use that word to describe her relationship with her husband, you know.
And even if it was that kind of thing, again, back then, you probably are looking at a marriage that happened when they were really young, or a planned marriage, or like they were,
you know, they were friends.
That was the plan. Like, yeah, they were going
friends,
to be.
You went to high school together, you got married. That's what you did.
And then you had kids, and then you had as many kids as you possibly could, because that was just.
So the only excitement you really experienced was that first love kind of thing in high school, which is different than.
Well, especially when you don't feel that for years upon years, then you sit there and you start going.
It's different than that kind of sexual excitement that you experience after you're an adult with another adult.
Especially, since all you know is the one thing. And that, to me, this guy, I think, just played upon all of that. Like, he really...
And I honestly think he really preyed upon the fact that Mr. Broberg, he could tell that he was bisexual. And in the documentary, Jan's dad only admits to one small incident, but I really don't feel like that's all that happened.
I think there was way more to it.
I think there's more to it that he just didn't want to admit, maybe on camera or even to himself. I don't know. But
we haven't read the book.
Yeah.
Honestly, we haven't read the book, and I don't know if there's much more into the book, because the way the thing is like church, especially in a community that's small, and this particular religion, who you are to this church is almost everything.
And he really frown upon homosexuality,
especially back then. It was
taboo,
very
taboo, and
very wrong.
For Berchtold to be able to hold that over Jan's dad's head so much, I think there was more than that one incident, because I think that was his main fear and his main motivation for just kind of going along with whatever Berchtold wanted, was that innate fear that someone would find out.
Right. But the thing is I find such strength in him as well, because he was the one who put his foot down. He was the one who absolutely said, I will divorce my wife before I let my children get harmed anymore.
But that was after the first recovery.
That's true. That's true. It's something that you definitely have to watch to be able to completely, fully appreciate.
Just kind of like a generalized, here's what happened, is he inserted himself into this family to the point where he was Jan's second father, basically. And at one point in time was going to take her horseback riding. Parents didn't think anything of it, and then they didn't come home. Well, the parents didn't think anything of it to the point where they didn't call the police for like 4 days.
But who would leave his own wife? So this is what really bothered me. I would think the same thing. Who would leave your own wife, your own children, and take off with someone's daughter? But who would do that?
But the other thing is they had taken her on family vacations before. And he had her overnight on little outings before.
Multiple
so really,
times.
to them, it wasn't
too out of
character. But in that time, he had time to get her to Mexico, and then he had her in Mexico for
long enough to get married and to brainwash her.
That's why he took her to Mexico, is